Hello, LA Daily Finance, and welcome. Today we are looking at solar energy, what it is, how it works, and the industry surrounding it. Let's dive in. Our sun creates energy in the form of electromagnetic radiation by means of nuclear fusion in its core. And over here on Earth, we've developed solar technologies to capture this radiation and convert it into useful energy for us, mainly electricity. Photovoltaic cells or solar cells are the most common and well-known ways of capturing the sun's energy. The most important part of these are the semiconductors, usually made of silicon. Photons hit these semiconductors, which knock electrons loose, and this flow of electrons is essentially what generates an electrical current. Metal on the top and the bottom of the solar cell then directs the current to its destination, i.e. whatever it is you're trying to power. Solar furnaces are another way of collecting the sun's energy. They concentrate solar radiation into a small area where it will heat up a fluid, like water for instance, to its boiling point and create steam. The steam then turns a turbine to generate electricity. An example of this is the solar tower found in California, surrounded by mirrors that direct sunlight into a focal point on the tower. And for all of our technological advancements in these last few decades, solar technologies are really still in their infancy, with all the limitations that entails. Your typical solar cell today has an average conversion rate of about 20%, because a lot of the light is either reflected, not absorbed by electrons, or the light that hits the electrons doesn't have enough energy to release them and create an electric current. Another big obstacle is that building large enough batteries to store excess electricity when there's no sun out is still really expensive. Despite this, however, since the market for renewable energy sources continues to grow, solar technology keeps advancing and the industry keeps making strides. According to Allied Market Research, the solar industry's market value is expected to surpass $200 billion by 2026. In 2020, despite the pandemic, the US solar industry grew by 43%, and according to the SEIA, the Solar Energy Industries Association, Mackenzie, a global research and consulting firm focused on global natural resources, expects the operating solar fleet in the US to quadruple by 2030. And as of 2019, the US solar industry employs more than 200,000 people. And to help out with innovation and development, governments around the world are incentivizing the advancement of solar technologies. Here in the US, at the federal level, there are numerous programs, the most basic of which are solar tax credits. What this means is that people who install a solar system on their home are eligible to receive a tax deduction. As of June 2021, these tax credits are said to be available for systems installed up until December 2021. Furthermore, the US Department of Energy's Solar Energy Technologies Office, CETO, or CETO, I don't really know, supports early-stage research and development of solar technology projects. It does this through a competitive process, and those who get approved may receive financial and/or technical assistance. And since 2008, they've granted hundreds of millions through their funding programs. Here in California, the state is looking to get all of its energy from renewables by 2045, and solar will play a big role in that. So the state has its own incentives. Programs like SASH and MASH, among others, help low-income residents transition to solar. And the net metering incentive requires utility companies pay homeowners for their excess solar energy. California residents can also get a rebate when installing solar battery systems. In Los Angeles specifically, there's LA's Green New Deal plan, an ambitious plan for zero waste, zero carbon, zero wasted water, and other goals by 2050. It also includes plans to create hundreds of thousands of green jobs. Among all of this, of course, is an increase in solar energy production and storage, which will probably play a big role in LA's energy grid. The Renewable Energy Ordinance of Los Angeles updates the planning and zoning code for the review and permitting of solar and wind energy projects, basically streamlining the permit process and incentivizing small-scale solar and wind projects. Los Angeles is also doing something called shared solar, allowing residents living in multifamily dwellings like apartments or condos to have a portion of their electricity supplied from solar power. This is something that will not only help families out with their utility bills, but will also help create local jobs within the renewable energy industry. According to Bloomberg, solar has jumped from being 11% of California's energy generation to over 25% in 20 years. The SEIA reports that major US companies like Apple, Amazon, Google, Walmart, Target, and more are investing heavily in solar, installing thousands of megawatts worth of solar systems across their facilities. With this, and keeping in mind California's plan to go 100% renewable as soon as possible, Solar's all but guaranteed to keep growing. Trying to get my face and the logo in at the same time is not working quite how I planned. But anyway, LA-based solar energy company 8Minute is currently working on a project called Aland, which will be the largest solar and storage project in the US and will be located 70 miles away from LA near Kern County. Project Aland was acquired by investment company Capital Dynamics, but 8Minute will continue to work on it and develop the project to its completion. So what's next for solar? Well, being able to deploy solar farms in orbit is something a number of countries and space agencies are looking into. The big problem, of course, is transferring collected energy from orbit to the Earth's surface. We're likely still decades away from achieving something like this, but it's a very interesting possibility with a lot of potential. Solar walls are being used nowadays, but they're not exactly what you think. They're a technology used to passively heat up your home. It is cool and it's super useful, but more interesting than solar walls are solar windows, which is something that will hopefully be a thing soon, thanks to quantum dot solar cells that could have a maximum efficiency of about 66%, a huge step up from the 30 to 40% theoretical maximum of your typical solar cell. A company with a very on-the-nose name, Solar Window, seems to have developed a coating which could turn not only windows but other surfaces into electricity-producing systems. So there's definitely a lot of development and innovation going on in this field, especially with all the market and government incentives out there. The future of the industry is definitely bright. There's lots of room for companies or startups to make strides in current technologies or completely change the game with new innovations. Thank you so much for joining us here at LA Daily Finance. Follow us on Instagram, and I will see you next time.